What's up everyone, Vitaly here, and in this video I want to talk to you about timing. Specifically when to time your Facebook stories so you get more views on them and potentially more results with them. Now in my particular case, I have over 161,000 followers on my Facebook page, and if you don't already know how I did that, I will leave a link below this video which teaches the main strategy that I use to get to these results. It's very simple to use, but it does require consistency. But once I started getting a lot more followers, I began to engage with those followers by posting one story a day, sometimes more, but in most cases it's one story a day. And once you post a Facebook story, it will be up for 24 hours. Within those 24 hours, think of it as a door of opportunity opening where you want to get as many results in terms of getting as many of your followers to see that story. And one of the things to do to accomplish that is you want to time when you post your Facebook story. It's not exactly a short kind of situation where you have only a small gap in time to do this, otherwise you fail. You can post this in different times, but posting, in my experience, in the AM hours, early AM hours, in terms of like 8 a.m., 9 a.m., usually gets me more views because most of my audience is awake and going through Facebook around that time. I've had situations where I posted a Facebook story sometimes in the middle of the night and I barely got any views because, as it just turns out, the audience that typically watches my Facebook stories, my followers that is, they're asleep. So they're asleep for the hours that the story is up, and now the gap of the 24 hours is lowering, so now it's smaller by the time they wake up. And yes, I can still get a lot of views, but it just makes more sense to post a story so then the 24 hours are maximized where I have as much daylight as possible to attract as many viewers and thus a lot of potential traffic back to my website. I've very often found that Facebook stories can be a very powerful driver of traffic back to your website. Now, in my particular case, I'm explaining how these things work. In your particular case, you may have a situation where you have a different niche, a different subject where you're posting things. Typically, if you post in your time zone within the AM hours, you should be able to see good results from that. Obviously, you're going to want to experiment. Post a Facebook story at 8 a.m., then post another one at 12 p.m., then post another one at 5 p.m., another one at night. See where you get more views depending on which stories you post. Now, it also depends on the content of the story that you post as well, but timing is a very important part. Here's actually some stats to back this up in my particular case. So if we look at a story that I posted here at 2:51 p.m., basically the middle of the day, I got over 1,000 views before that story expired. And I would say that the story was getting a lot of views during the day, but as the hours went on after 11 p.m., 12 a.m., 1 a.m., they started to go down because most of my audience is asleep. And then if we look at this right here, which is another Facebook story, see it says your story, it only got 716 views. Now I posted this at 12:31 a.m., which is basically the middle of the night for a lot of people. And so one could argue that from 12 to 6 to 7 to 8 a.m., all those hours is when the least amount of my followers will be able to see that story. So I'm really kind of missing out. Versus if I posted earlier in the daylight hours when they're awake, I can get more out of it. So this is something I recommend that you experiment with, but just understand that timing your Facebook stories can have a dramatic impact on the number of views that you get. And so that's what I wanted to share with you in this video. If you have any questions, let me know. But one more time, I will reiterate that if you don't have a lot of followers on your Facebook page, don't worry about Facebook stories yet. Worry about getting more followers to follow your page first, and I'll share the strategy in a link below the video, which will help show how that's accomplished. So thanks a lot for watching, and if you have any questions, let me know. But as usual, I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everybody.